This video will give an overview of using BMC's release, package, deploy to create an application package and perform a deployment to a target environment. First, we'll start with defining what artifacts are needed in an application and the location of those artifacts. Then, we'll create an instance by pulling the needed content, creating a physical copy and storing it in the repository. For composite applications, we also have the ability to create a repository, adding different components to an instance. Then, once an instance is created, unique actions are performed dependent on the type of content to deploy the instance to each environment. This ensures that the same process is performed on each environment. When you log into RPD, you see a launchpad, or really a dashboard of everything that's happening. You see different applications with different versions being deployed to different environments. You see the current status of those deployments. You see different application packages that have been configured and different instances that have been created that are ready to be deployed. You see different routes or promotion models, whether it's going to be a deployment just to a dev environment or to a QA and then production environment. You can also drill into a deployment that's taken place and see the status of everything that's happened. You can see different components that are being deployed, how long each of the components have taken, and what process has been performed. You can also drill into the individual component and see a very detailed logging of everything that has happened. This can be very useful for troubleshooting. So that's the end result of a deployment. Now I'm going to show how all of this was initially set up. First, we'll go to the Define tab to create package definitions. Here, there are a few application packages created, and if I select the quotes application, we'll see this is where the location of the required artifacts is specified. So if your application contains a WAR file or an MSI with database and configuration content, all of that would be defined here. Once we define what is needed in an application package and where it is located, we can create a new instance of that application. So the needed content is pulled together as a physical copy, versioned, and ready to be deployed. After the packages are defined and the instances created, specific processes can be created. So defining what actions will be performed per type of content. Looking at the deploy.net application, we can see the steps needed to deploy that type of artifact. We can also see that the dependencies can be configured to allow for steps to run in parallel or to be dependent on the previous step. We can also see here the individual actions that make up this process. Triggers are then defined to specify that this process will only run for this type of content. These processes are built from individual actions, and the solution comes with an extensive list of out-of-the-box, pre-built actions, and the ability to import any of your custom scripts. We can see that these are very granular actions that perform very specific tasks. Last, the topology is configured, starting with defining specific channels or servers. What type of server is it? These channels are then grouped into environments. This is where your development, test, and production environments will be defined. An environment can have access controls on it. Allowing a developer to deploy to dev might be okay, but if you only want to have an admin be able to release to test, that can be configured. Sign-offs are also configured here, allowing for manual approvals before a production deployment if needed. Then the environments are grouped into routes or promotion models. If you want to specify the application has to go to test before production, this is how that would be enforced. Now we're ready to perform a deployment. The solution has a very easy drag and drop deployment capability. So we'll grab the quotes application instance and drag it to the dev environment to start a deployment. We can now see real-time the status of the deployment. And we can drill into the specific logging as it happens. We can watch as each of the actions are being performed on a different type of content, and see the status of each action being performed, as well as seeing some of the metrics that are captured on the overall process. You've now seen a high-level overview of release, package, deploy, and how easy it is to configure and quickly perform application deployments.